Question.
Yeah.
About like all the bedrooms and everything were just like painted white. Were you trying to find, was there wallpaper actually in there?
No, we have a 1821 fire insurance survey where somebody came through and described the entire house in order to get insurance. And he goes into every room and he says, library wallpapered, and then he lists 2 rooms that are painted, the family room, which was painted blue, the dining room painted green, and everything else is listed as being plain plaster. So what they would have been plastered and probably left. They would have been tan, like just a horsehair plaster finish with no paint or anything on it. They may have been whitewashed. What happens is now they're interpreted as being whitewashed because once that is painted, it's you can't go back to plain plaster. That would be very typical for you to focus a lot of money and energy on your public rooms. And on rooms that you just lived in, you save the money. And we see that a lot, actually, in Ohio properties, where bedrooms just are not fancy. Public rooms are. You want to present a very refined public image. And one of the things that makes clear, though, is when you look at the 5 rooms that are wallpapered, that those are the rooms that public came into. So you know that this is a library, but also an office used for business. And as the doors and everything are set up, people would have come from that entry hall into the wallpapered anteroom and then would have been escorted in here. And that comes from that kind of clue about how the interiors were designed. That was a good question, though. Any other questions? What we're going to do is we're going to walk back out this door right here, which is a servant entry. As you look, this is a door that what this house does not have is a servant staircase. What it does have is an exterior connection between here and the kitchen wing. And you can get from the kitchen wing all the way to the dairy, right? All the way to all those outbuildings into the dairy. So if something were being brought into the family side of the house, it would have been brought in from those west servant areas across this covered doorway and either up into the family section or down into this family section. So the servants would have never come through those public rooms we were in, the best rooms of the house. They would have always been in these exterior areas, all focused toward which direction? The west. That is exactly right. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to walk down here, and we're going to kind of walk back on that path. We're going to stop just one place, and I'm going to point out something and you can see if you can find it. It's another fence row. You can tell it's a fence row because of the trees. And as you get there, we're going to look at another small artifact. This strange line of trees, right? Pointing to what? Historically. Something in the landscape. No, the trees don't point to that. The trees are a sign of something, right? The seal is actually out the front that way. Yeah, this has to be some kind of fence row. And what it is there's a fence and probably a farm road. And if you look at that, this is all on that large model that's in the center. But the building we found up here, this 40 by 60 barn, has a 13-foot door that's pointed this direction. And that would have been a door that would have opened through this fence onto a road. The other piece of evidence, anyone know what this is?
Stairs.
Stairs. Anyone know what stairs in the middle of nowhere are called?
For hopping off your carriage.
They're carriage steps. They're for getting on and off a carriage. Now, the thing that I like to talk about these is I've never found anyone that knows anything about these stairs. Why they're here, what they are, who brought them. And my experience with the society has been anytime you have something that no one knows anything about it, it's an original piece. I know that in the 40s, they brought 2 carriage steps in and put them in front of the house. But it's interesting to me that you have this evidence in the landscape of a barn that opened onto something, a fence, probably a road, and at the end of that, carriage steps. All points to what should that building be used for, do you think?
Carriage.
It's probably a carriage house, right? You got a 13-foot opening off a door, carriage steps, probably a carriage house. You're probably keeping a couple horses and a carriage. It's mentioned in text as possibly being a small stable and hen house, though how you'd ever refer to a 40 by 16 building as small, that I can't figure out, but probably something associated with this. The interesting thing to me, somebody asked questions about, well, why is it so far? How's it work? And I mean, these are the questions historically. You can see them. This stuff's here, but kind of you don't know. You don't know why. No one ever's written about it. No one has gotten a diary or a note. Just stuff we don't talk about. It's like you don't necessarily write emails or text messages about how you park in the garage, right? And kind of no one talks about how they get off a carriage and put the carriage away. It's just something everybody does, and it seems silly. All right, thank you very much.